After Rubberman is hit by a death ray during a Justice League mission, the other members of the League take advantage of Patrick's distraction and defeat the villain. However, when Rubberman starts complaining that he was in a lot of pain because of that ray, nobody in the League really cares, thinking that he was just for free, like always. Now feeling a bit disrespected, Patrick goes home and starts cursing the Justice League behind its back, thinking of getting some sleep to see if he could regenerate from that death ray. However, after a few hours, the Rubberman wakes up and realizes that he wasn't regenerating, but in fact, quite the opposite, since in the meantime, his arm had melted almost completely. And now, a little worried, Patrick wraps a plastic bag around his arm and runs back to the Justice League, trying to tell them what was happening and once again being ignored, since they thought, again, that he was just joking. Man Baracha then leaves, disappointed, until he is stopped by Bobo, the detective chimp, who says that his situation seemed a bit serious, recommending that he look for some chemist and not a doctor, and that maybe that way he could solve his problem. Patrick ended up listening to Bobo's advice and looking for the chemist he had recommended, explaining to her what had happened. But listening to the story of the Rubber Man, Dr. Vera does an analysis and says that his body was decomposing at a molecular level, adding to this that this would eventually happen to him, and that the bloody death only accelerated the process, which was also practically irreversible. Patrick then laughs at the situation and simply accepts that he was dying, soon then going home disappointed, thinking about how he wasted his life, ruining his marriage, and being an absent father to his son. However, now with his son Luke in mind, Patrick realizes that if his powers were killing him, they would eventually also kill Luke, who inherited his mutant genes. Patrick, now with extra motivation, calls Luke over to talk and explains that he was dying, saying that the same could happen to him, that they needed to think about how to fix it. But listening to it all, Luke refuses to do anything and leaves, abandoning his father to sort himself out alone. Rubberman then returns to Dr. Vera and asks theoretically if not there really was any way to reverse that process of disintegration. And she replies that theoretically there was, but that would require an extremely powerful fusion reaction and an absurd amount of energy. What Patrick then replies was simple, and that they just needed to build a nuclear bomb.